Hey parents, this is going to be a longer video, apologies in advance, and I am certain that I'm gonna catch some heat for this one, but I wanna put it out there anyway. What if this holiday season, we did not make kids' presents, gifts, events, activities contingent upon them being good? And if you heard me say that and your immediate instinct was, but how will I get my kids to behave if I can't say to them, be good or Santa won't come, be good or we won't go to that holiday party, etc. Let's break that down a little bit. Being good really just means meeting our adult expectations, following rules, cooperating, listening, whatever you want to call it. Being good just means that we want kids to meet our expectations. So let's break that down even further. If kids can't meet our expectations, it's possible that it's because our adult expectations of them are not scaled to match their development. Our expectations are too high for them because of their age, because of their developmental stage, because of their neurodiversity, because of their temperament, because of any one of a million reasons. It is possible, and I often see this with loving, well-intentioned parents who come to me for guidance and support. It's because there's a mismatch between their expectations and what their kids and teens are reasonably capable of. So that's one. And if that's the case, if it's an expectation mismatch, then a punishment isn't going to suddenly make that kid able to rise to the occasion. Another reason why a child might not be able to meet our expectations is because they don't yet have the skills. That's very possible. Impulse control, delayed gratification, sharing, empathy, waiting your turn, perspective taking, all of these things are skills that require the brain maturation to be present. They require them to have a regulated nervous system to be able to actually recruit those skills, and they have to actually have the skill in the first place. It's like if your kid was learning how to swim and you punished them because they didn't have the strokes in place yet. Punishing them, taking away their toys, threatening not taking them to Santa isn't going to make them learn to swim any faster. And there's another reason why kids might not be able to meet our expectations. And that's because they maybe have the skill some of the time, but when their body budget is depleted, when they're dysregulated, right? When they're tired, when they're hungry, when they're overexcited, when they've been focusing for too long, any number of things can happen. And they can't recruit that skill. It happens to adults too, right? When I'm driving down the highway and it's a sunny day and I've got the radio cranked and I'm sipping a latte and I'm not in a rush and someone cuts me off in traffic, I'm like, it's cool, go ahead, bro, don't worry about it. But when I'm late and it's raining and I have to pee and the traffic is crazy and someone cuts me off, it's a whole different story. So I have the ability to be patient and understanding. It's harder to recruit when my body budget is depleted. So if we look at that kids' ability to be good is dependent upon whether our expectations are realistic, whether or not they actually have the skills to meet those expectations, or whether they are regulated enough and their body budgets are balanced enough for them to recruit those skills that they have. If that's the case, then this threatening them with taking away their toys or Santa not coming or the elf on the shelf watching them and reporting back or whatever it is you're doing, it's not actually going to build those skills. And in fact, it could really damage their relationships, their relationship with you, their relationship with their siblings or their classmates, their relationships with themselves. And I want to dig in a little bit to why that is. And I know we're 4 minutes in, so if you are with me this far, kudos to you. But let's take a look at those kids. There are some kids who will have no trouble meeting your expectations. Those kids who can follow your rules, who can behave in ways that you deem appropriate, and those kids will get labeled good. And we might think, hey, those kids are gonna be fine. Except those kids who have an easier time acquiring the skills, those kids then think of themselves as better than other kids who are struggling. So you have this child who can meet those expectations, and it means that they start to think of themselves as morally better than other people. What is that going to mean down the road for their empathy, their perspective taking, their patience, their ability to look at things from how other people might be experiencing them? So there are dangers involved with being that kid. Then there are the kids who really, really, really want to meet our expectations. And they try so hard. They pour in all of their energy and focus in to meeting our expectations. And their body budgets deplete and they melt down or they blow up. And then they lose the privilege or the toy, the thing they really wanted anyway, even though they tried so hard. And those depleted body budgets leave no room for curiosity, for joy, for learning, for building social connections. So those kids suffer too. Then there are the kids who recognize that it doesn't matter what they do, they're not going to meet the expectations, so they just don't bother. And they get consequence after consequence after consequence layered on top of them. And those kids end up feeling shame and blame and like they are worthless because they're just never going to meet those expectations. And then there are your revenge kids. And those are the kids who, without realizing it, are thinking to themselves, I'm never going to get it anyway, so I'm going to punish everybody else the way they're punishing me. Those are the kids who take their siblings' toys, who break things, who scream at their parents, who just seem really angry. And the more we punish, the more defiant they get. Doesn't matter which of those kids you are, life is hard for you and there's problems down the road. And if you have more than one child in your family, you might have a combination of more than one of these kids. And what is that doing to their sibling relationships and to your household harmony? If you're a teacher this time of year and you've got all of these kids in your classroom and they're all hanging out together and all of their relationships are getting damaged too. So the holidays are really a microcosm, because if your natural inclination around the holidays is to remove a privilege, take away a toy, threaten something that they won't get to do or that they won't get to have, it's often not isolated to the holidays. It's often something that is woven in to the habits throughout the year and how we interact with kids, whether that's as parents, as caregivers, as teachers, as grandparents, whatever that looks like. And I'm not saying this to place any kind of blame or shame. I firmly believe that every single parent is doing the very best they can in any given moment with the resources they have available. Financial resources, emotional, mental, the skills that we have, where our nervous systems are at, all of those things come into play. So this is absolutely not to shame or blame a parent. But what if we could take a step back this holiday season and stop ourselves from saying, don't do that, or you won't get the toy. Be good, or Santa won't come. If we could stop ourselves, take a breather, just take a beat and look at what the child is exhibiting and figure out, is this a body budget thing? Is there something they need from me to boost their body budget? Is this a skill they don't have? How can I either help them build the skill proactively, or how can I be the self-control for them that they don't yet have? How can I set them up for success in ways they're not yet ready to, right? Or how can I protect my relationship with this child while instituting a consequence or something for accountability? Because sometimes that is necessary. That's a whole other video. But sometimes consequences are necessary, but they need to be relatable and respectful. They need to be relevant to what's actually going on in the situation. They need to be understood beforehand. There are all sorts of criteria for when a consequence is appropriate and actually helpful. So I guess my overarching point to this is, if we could just give ourselves permission to not jump in right away with a consequence or a punishment, and to think about what our kids actually need in that moment. You know, maybe this holiday season can be the start of something new for you. And the reason I feel like I'm going to catch heat for this is because I know thousands of parents who have said to themselves or have said to me, but I was raised that way and I turned out just fine. And yes, we may be functioning adults. We may be successful. We may be in loving relationships. We may meet the baseline criteria for having turned out fine. And also, there are a lot of us who don't have the ability to regulate our own nervous systems. And we use alcohol or drugs or food or shopping or online gambling or any number of other things to distract ourselves. Scrolling on Instagram. We've all done that. We use those things to distract ourselves from what's going on in our bodies and our nervous systems. Because when we were kids, our loving and well-intentioned parents punished us instead of allowed us to feel the full range of emotions that humans are supposed to feel and helped us develop self-regulation. And again, it's not about blame or shame. Our parents were doing the very best they could too. And I like to think that if they'd had this information, they maybe would have adjusted a few things. So you've been with me for 10 minutes. I'm incredibly grateful. Just something to consider this holiday season. I would love your comments on this video. I'd love your thoughts. I'd love your takeaways. If you disagree, doesn't matter. Pop it in the comments because discussion and conversation is how we all learn. And if you are interested in parent coaching with GPS, if you're interested in learning more about how to move away from a consequence-based model towards a connect and collaborate model, please book a Connect with Kate call. I would love to talk with you, and happy holidays.